War veteran pretended to be a teacher to destroy the school thugs who break his girlfriend's leg. Jonathan Shale, a war veteran and mercenary, who endured the loss of 3 comrades during a failed operation in Cuba. The U.S. authorities denied any involvement, leaving the mercenaries without employment. Later, in Miami, we see an American school where some Mexican students attack an African American student, prompting the intervention of 2 teachers. This fight was serious and it is presumed that the Mexican students are the dangerous ones. A teacher named Jane talks to one of the Mexicans named Lacus, knowing that he started the fight. Lacus, however, only threatens Jane in response. He wants Jane to leave him alone or else he can hurt her. Jane is a little worried because of this threat and Lacus's behavior, which is why she goes to the principal. Despite the absence of a direct threat, the school principal, Mr. Roll, remains determined to take action against Lacus' misconduct. Outside the school, Lacus and a group of Latino students encircle Jane's car, subjecting her to offensive remarks and preventing her from leaving peacefully, but she manages to leave. She then goes to the elevator on her way home and she lets out a scream of surprise as the elevator doors close, only to be comforted when she sees her partner, Jonathan. They both meet after a long time and go inside the house to talk. Jonathan, explaining his forced retirement, expresses his discontent with the situation. In the evening, his old comrade, Joey 6, offers Jonathan a job that requires trained individuals. A man named Wolfson is choosing the right soldier for this job. He explains that they have been hired to take down a drug baron. The baron requires a reliable team to protect his merchandise and eliminate anyone who interferes, even if they are federal agents. However, Jonathan is not a killer, he is a soldier. He grabs Wolfson by the throat and angrily denies this offer, claiming that there is a difference between a soldier and a killer. He tells him to leave the house and claims that he would rather stay jobless instead of accepting this offer. Wolfson is scared by him and also immediately leaves, knowing that there is no change he will accept. Jonathan and Joey 6 then talk about this afterward. After that, when Jane goes for a run along the waterfront, she is unexpectedly attacked by a large individual who strikes her leg with a stick. Luckily, Jonathan, who happens to be looking for her, intervenes and prevents further harm. Despite his training as a veteran, Jonathan is unable to handle the assailant and retreats upon hearing the sound of police sirens. Jane's leg is broken, and she firmly believes that Lacus sent the attacker. However, she pleads with Jonathan not to retaliate, as she fears it will escalate the situation and put them in danger. Jane calls the school and wants to quit her job as a teacher. However, the school dismisses the idea, deeming testimonies pointless at that time. Determined, the unemployed soldier enlists the help of his friends to create a teaching certificate and add him to the teacher's database. The next day, he arrives at the school under the name James Smith, dressed in a suit. In the hallway, he encounters Principal Roll, who pretends to be concerned about Jane's well-being. Jonathan, now known as James, goes inside his classroom, which is filled with ill-mannered students. The situation is far worse than he thought. He decides to introduce himself to the unruly students of his class, but they instantly start mocking him. While Jonathan is there, he recognizes Lacus's face and keeps an eye on him. He then goes out and meets a few teachers who are talking about Jane and how the Mexican gang members must have broken her leg and that it's best to avoid confrontation with this school gang. They also tell Jonathan that Jane wants to expel Lacus, but for some unknown reason, the principal protects him. The Kings of Destruction, as the gang is known, used to work in the police department's anti-crime unit, and now Lacus is even involved in politics as well. After hearing this, Jonathan goes to meet the principal because he is curious about why he would protect Lacus. While talking, both men notice various things about each other and Jonathan thinks that he is somewhat suspicious and might be somehow involved with Lacus after all. Jonathan then heads to the shooting range and offers his mercenary friends to assist him in dealing with the school gang. He explains how they are attacking Jane and that he needs to do this in order to save her and that he needs their help. However, one of his friends disapproves of Jonathan's involvement in something that doesn't bring in money. Jonathan proposes that the school gang must be involved in the drug business, which means that they should have a lot of money. They all agree to help Jonathan and get rid of this school gang. The following day, Jonathan's friends enter the school, disguised as workers. This time, Jonathan is not as friendly as he was on the first day. He initiates a conversation about Vietnam when a student attempts to strike Jonathan, but to everyone's surprise, he skillfully subdues him and forces him to lick the floor. Despite the warning from Principal Roll, Jonathan remains committed to employing alternative methods that align with his values. He understands the importance of gaining the respect and trust of his students rather than resorting to harsh disciplinary measures. As he continues to interact with his class, he finds common ground and builds connections with them, drawing parallels between his own past involvement in a gang and the turbulent experiences they face as members of street gangs or participants in petty crimes. During his time at the school, Jonathan strikes up a genuine friendship with fellow teacher Daryl Sherman. They share insights and strategies for engaging students and fostering a positive learning environment. Their collaboration becomes an essential source of support and inspiration for both educators. Amidst the unusual circumstances within the high school, Jonathan's instincts urge him to investigate further. He takes decisive action by installing surveillance cameras throughout the building, determined to uncover the truth behind the mysteries that unfold. To his astonishment, the footage reveals a shocking revelation. Locus, one of Jonathan's students, orchestrated the violent attack on Jane. It becomes evident that Locus is not only involved in the attack but also engaged in a clandestine partnership with Principal Roll, facilitating the distribution of cocaine throughout Miami as part of a major narcotics operation. Armed with this knowledge, Jonathan forms a plan to dismantle the drug ring and protect the school community. He assembles a dedicated team of trusted individuals, each bringing their unique skills to the table. Through careful planning and strategic execution, they orchestrate a daring raid on a notorious drug dealer, seizing the illicit funds. In a bold move, Jonathan decides to utilize the confiscated money for a noble cause. With the recovered funds, he purchases much-needed music and sports equipment, presenting it to the school as a generous donation. Despite Jonathan's discovery of the illicit activities taking place within the school, Sherman initially reacts with disbelief and accuses Jonathan of being motivated by racism, attempting to undermine the positive initiatives implemented by Principal Roll. Unbeknownst to Jonathan, Sherman's reluctance stems from his desire to maintain distance and protect the money laundering scheme utilized by Roll's criminal enterprises. However, a crucial turning point occurs when Sherman and a female student accidentally stumble upon the drugs being loaded onto one of the school buses later that same day. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Sherman instructs the student to urgently inform Jonathan and Jane about what they witnessed. Understanding the imminent danger they face, Sherman selflessly creates a diversion to draw attention away from the others, sacrificing himself in the process. With Jonathan now a target due to his interference, Roll orchestrates a plan to eliminate him by staging a car accident. Additionally, Roll dispatches Locus to go after Jane, aiming to eliminate anyone who threatens his criminal operations. However, Jonathan and Brown become aware of the impending danger and rally to protect Jane. Aided by another courageous student, Jonathan and Brown engaged in a fierce battle with Locus, ultimately emerging victorious but not without sacrifices. Tragically, Sherman falls victim to Roll's sinister plans and loses his life in the process. Determined to bring justice and uncover the truth, Jonathan and Brown rely on the testimony of the female witness, who provides them with crucial details regarding the extent of Roll's involvement in the criminal activities. Through their courageous efforts, Jonathan and Brown not only save Jane but also expose the full extent of Roll's illicit enterprises. The revelation of Roll's true nature sends shockwaves through the school community, forcing a reckoning and prompting a collective pursuit of justice. The sacrifices made by Sherman and other brave individuals inspire a renewed sense of unity and determination among the remaining staff and students, paving the way for a brighter and safer future. As news of Jonathan's intervention spreads, the school community begins to recognize his dedication and unwavering commitment to their well-being. Students and teachers alike find solace in his presence and feel inspired to strive for a better future. The once troubled atmosphere transforms into an environment of growth, learning, and mutual respect. Jonathan and his team, battle-hardened and determined, fortify the school grounds, preparing for a full-scale confrontation with the remnants of the Kings of Destruction, KOD. Alongside them, they find an unexpected ally in Johnny Glades. The stakes are high as they also face off against Janice, the leader of a rival mercenary company, and the notorious Principal Roll himself. The ensuing clash is a chaotic symphony of gunfire, explosions, and tactical maneuvers. Jonathan and his team fight with unwavering resolve, their every move calculated to dismantle the criminal network that has infiltrated the school. The intense battle tests their skills, training, and camaraderie, pushing them to their limits. Despite facing overwhelming odds, in the midst of the chaos, not many of them survive, but Roll manages to be one of the last few to survive. He knows that Jonathan has destroyed his empire, so he fights him with pure rage. But even this fight ends up with Jonathan winning. In the end, Jonathan and Joey emerge as the last men standing. As they leave the school grounds, exhaustion mingling with the satisfaction of a hard-fought victory, Jonathan and Joey discuss their future endeavors. As they walk away from the school, their heads held high, they know that their fight against corruption and criminality is far from over. Here, this movie ends.